Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of any of the other channels? Because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time. They talk down to us. I think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and it's turning into something truly, truly special. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of First Take with Stephen A. talking about the whole the NBA 65 game policy. I really want to talk about this because I have some pretty strong opinions with regards to this. And I know I haven't seen it, but I know Stephen A. pretty much goes on a pretty intense rant, as Stephen A. tends to do. So let's just see what he has to say, and then we can get right into it.
10 of his 11 last games. He had this to say to The Athletic on the NBA 65-game policy. Quote, I think it's a stupid rule, like plenty of the guys in the league, but this is what the owners want. So as players, we got to do our job playing 65 games before we're able to. So that's what I got to do. Take care of my body to be able to play in those games. And I think you're seeing other players in the league kind of face the same thing as long as the owners are happy.
You want to start here? You start. You've been feisty on it. Go ahead.
Tyrese Halliburton is somebody that I voted as an all-star this year, starter in the all-star game. I think he's been sensational, in terms of the points per game, leading the league in assists, patrolling the #1 offense. We get all of that. But respectfully, he's wrong. And I want to make sure that I say this to America out here. You want to look at the NBA and these rules that inhibits or derail somebody from capturing some of these league awards, MVP and all of this other stuff, and how it's going to cost you money, because if Tyrese Halliburton misses a few more games, he's not eligible to make a first-team All-NBA or anything like that. It could ultimately end up costing him about $40 million because his new max deal kicks in next season. Okay, well, blame some of your contemporaries because it's their fault. It's not the league's fault. What are you supposed to do? You're the National Basketball Association, and you have watched, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to call out. I'm not calling out every NBA player. I'm not talking about anybody who's had legitimate injuries. I'm talking about the fact that we're living in a day and age where you see people sitting out games to prevent injuries. They're not injured. They're preventing themselves from getting injured by sitting out games. They're perfectly fine to go to an arena and play. They show up to the arena, they're dressed, 19,000 people are in the arena, and you elect. I'm not talking about when the team forces you to. I'm not talking about, because those scenarios happen. But you elect to sit out. Oh, you're not feeling 100%. You're not necessarily ready to go, et cetera, et cetera. Let me throw this by you, dog, because I have my researcher do some history here. Michael Jordan played in at least 78 games a season. In 12 of his 15 seasons, 9 times he played all 82 games. John Stockton, 16 times, all 82 games. Karl Malone, 10 times, all 82 games. Michael Jordan, Gary Payton, 9 times, all 82 games. Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, 5 times. Kobe Bryant, 4 times. Now let's go to load management in this load management area, and I understand that Kawhi Leonard has had some injuries. Kawhi Leonard has only played in at least 65 games in 3 of his 12 seasons. In 3 of his 12 seasons. Oh, by the way, doggy, through this season, he will have earned $276.5 million. I'm diming folks out right now. We got Paul George. We know those are legitimate injuries with him because we've seen those injuries take place. It wasn't like Kawhi Leonard dropping 38 one game against Phoenix, and then the next day he ain't ready to go for some inexplicable reason when he walked off the court looking perfectly fine. Kevin Durant, we know Kevin Durant loves the game of basketball.
Right. Okay. So this is what I take issue with. I see both sides of this argument, and to me, it's actually, first off, the basketball has changed. So comparing it back to the old days is just harder because there's more possessions. It's a faster paced game. It's a different style. It's a more physical game. I know it's physical in terms of not like necessarily being bodied up against each other because it's technically less physical, but it's a lot of pounding, especially on your knees and your ankles and your feet, of going up and down the court, It's a faster game. The shot clock has been shrunk because of, it used to just reset with 24 and now it doesn't go back to the full 24. So it's just a faster game. That's number one. Number two, yeah, I get it. So we can point out like some of these amazing elite GOAT-like players like like Stockton and Jordan and stuff like that, but that's not necessarily the norm. What Michael Jordan did is not the norm. Obviously, if it was the norm, then he wouldn't be the GOAT. So using him as a reference is kind of silly. So that doesn't really make sense to me. And also, this is where Stephen A just sounds like just such a non-athlete. I get it. From a fan perspective, I want to see these players play, right? It was very disappointing to have Embiid not go up against Jokic, and I want to see that play. But I think Embiid is such a great example of this too, though, because Embiid is injury prone and his body can't last the full length of the season. It's not because he doesn't try. It's not because he doesn't care. It's not because he just, doesn't do everything he can to get himself in shape. The guy is in amazing shape. I've seen him. I've been right up against him. And, I mean, the dude is just a physical monster. I mean, he's massive. I mean, I can't tell you, if you've never stood next to him, you just don't understand just how, I mean, it's just insane. I mean, seriously, it's just insane. And the abuse and the physicality that he takes from his style of play and just being the big man and doing all of that and running up and down the court, it's hard for him. It's hard. And so throughout the whole season, his body takes a pounding on it. It just does. And that's why by the time he makes it to the playoffs, he's kind of spent. And it sucks. It's unfortunate, but it's just a luck of the draw of his genetics. Not only did his genetics get him to the NBA and make him hundreds of millions of dollars, but his genetics also kind of left him out to dry with being injury prone, and then also just not having the ability to go the length of seasons. And I think we should be sympathetic towards that and understanding of that. And as someone who's had a lot of injuries in his life, playing sports specifically, I understand what it's like. And so this idea that other players are now doing things to avoid injury, well, yeah, no one likes to be injured. We see these athletes as robots. And I've been to enough orthopedic surgeons and they all make the same jokes again and again and again. Well, we're not robots. We can't just replace your clavicle with another part and you'll be fine. Like, that's not the way it works. You don't recover from all injuries. All injuries are not the same. It hurts. Just because you saw one athlete recover very quick and easy doesn't mean that the next athlete is going to either. It's a long, exhausting process. It's depressing. The pain, the chronic pain. I have chronic pain in both my knee and my shoulder now because of sports injuries and stuff like that. And it sucks. It sucks. So Stephen A is like, they're trying to avoid injury. They're not even injured. They just want to avoid injury. Yeah, no crap, Stephen A. Like, what are you even talking about? That's just like the fact that you can't see that is absurd. Now, again, I get the argument that these guys are making so much money, and so that they should play, they should do their job. I get that. I really, really do. And I'm on that side as well. But then the NBA just needs to change. The NBA then shouldn't be 82-game season, because you either have to be okay that not everyone's going to play all these games, or you have to cut back on the season. And again, that's what makes football so exciting. That's what makes football, and football is always the main example of this, right? Because it's only 17 games, so every game matters. And in the NBA, the truth is that not every game matters. And the truth is that the Jokic versus Embiid, which was like last weekend, no matter who wins that game, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's fun TV and it's a good product, but at the same time, it doesn't actually matter. Whoever wins that game, it has no effect on what happens in the playoffs, in the finals, whatever. So it just doesn't matter. And that's the thing with football. Every game matters. Every game matters. You're only playing 17 games, and so if you lose in week 4, it could really be an issue in week 17, 18, and beyond. But in the NBA, you could lose 5 games in a row and still win the NBA Finals, right? You can't lose 5 games in a row in the NFL. I don't think that's probably ever been done where someone has done that and then went off and won the Super Bowl. Maybe like once, but it's obviously not the norm. And so that's what makes something like football feel so much more urgent and more exciting, that that basketball really struggles with. The problem is that if they lower the seasons, then the games in a season for basketball, then they'll have to make less money, and the players don't want to do that. And then also it affects all the records, and it's like some of these records will stay forever now because they're playing less games. So it's hard to imagine that they're going to do less games in basketball. So then it's just like, so then what is the solution? Well, I'll tell you right now, forcing players to play is not the solution, because that is how you get injury. Embiid just got injured, which was more fluky, but his body can't endure the pounding of the game, as well as, you know, he can't survive as easily as the more freak accidents of a player rolling on him and stuff like that. So the solution is not forcing these players to play games, because you can't force someone to do something that your body can't, because that's actually how you do indeed get injured. We've seen this. We know this in weight training. There's a lot of research in weight training of, you know, what causes injuries. And so for those of you who may not know, a lot of the variations of weight training is frequency, how frequently you're working out. So let's just use bench press as an example. Everyone knows bench press. They say, okay, so what causes you to tear your pec, you know, to just rip your shoulder apart? Is it by benching too much? By benching every single day? Is that what increases injury? They're like, not necessarily. How about benching too heavy, right? Is that what causes injury? You just have too much load on the bar and now you just rip your body apart. Is that it? It's like, that might not necessarily be the case. Is it the volume? How many reps in a set? So you could do 20 reps, 30 reps, 100 reps, or only 5 reps. It's like, okay, is that it? Or is it how much is the volume? How many sets now? So you can do 20 sets of 5, 10 sets of 5, you know, like, what is it? What leads to interest? What leads to injury? And what they realized and learned is the best predictor of injury is actually fatigue more than anything. Outside of also proper form, but fatigue plays a factor in that, because when you're more fatigued, your form can break down, and then that's what also can now lead to injury. Also, your muscles are fatigued, so essentially the integrity of the muscle now is no longer what it was earlier in the workout, so now it's more susceptible to injury. So that's actually what we realize is more. So it's not necessarily the frequency, it's not necessarily the intensity, like the weight on the bar, it's not necessarily even the volume, as long as it's not affecting fatigue. And so it's really the fatigue, which is why you see this so often. How often do you see athletes, or even just yourself or friends and family, they always get injured at the end of the game? They get injured. It's always that last run. If you're skiing or doing whatever, or you're playing basketball, you're playing pickup ball, it's always at the very end. Very rarely does someone get injured where you just start the game and you're like playing and it's 5 minutes in and now someone tears their meniscus or something, or tears their ACL. It's always at the very end. Not always, but a lot of times. Because fatigue is what increases the likelihood of injury, either because your form breaks down or just the integrity of your joints, your body, your muscle, whatever. And so that's why rest is so important. And, you know, Anthony Davis got a lot of heat for that, for sitting out a game even when he felt good. And that's because the doctors reached the conclusions, your body can't handle this. It can't handle the load and the frequency and the fatigue buildup that you get of a regular season. So yeah, we do have to sit you back to back, or we do have to take some time off. Kawhi Leonard, he's not just lazy. You know, he's just not. I don't buy that. Like, his body, he kind of hangs on by a thread. He wants to be able to play. He wants to be able to do these things, and he knows he can. His knees, and he wants to avoid surgeries and other issues down the road, and he's allowed to do that. But now the counter to that is, well, then he needs to take less money, or, you know, whatever. And it's like, I think that's also fair too, to a degree. So the solution is not necessarily the easiest, and I'm not going to pretend like I do have the solution, but I just do know is that forcing people to play is not, because that is how you're going to get injuries. That is how you're going to get these problems. But at the same time, it's hard to have such sympathy for some of these athletes when they are making hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, these athletes now entering the league, when it's all said and done, I mean, the norm now is going to be to leave the NBA with minimum $500 million. I mean, seriously. So they're just making pathetic amounts of money, just insane amounts of money, and then they complain to us fans who are making, you know, not even close to that amount of money. And so it's just kind of like, bro, I wake up and go to work every single day. I don't feel well plenty of days a week, and yet I still got to get up and go. Okay, you make more money just getting a massage and physical therapy than I do in an entire year. Seriously. So, I mean, like, these guys are literally getting paid just to, like, get massage work and go to physical therapy, you know, not even with their injury, just in general, right? Just like part of the general recovery of throughout a season. And it's like, I got to wake up in the morning and get to work and do hard stuff. So I don't necessarily have sympathy, but I do understand the dilemma. But that's just kind of my quick and dirty thoughts on it. But what do you all think? Do you think Stephen A is out of bounds on this? What do you think the NBA should do? Do you think players should play no matter what? Do you think that the NBA needs to change the structure of the season? Less games throughout the week? Would love to hear your thoughts on this one. Please let me know in the comments below. And please don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really helps with the visibility and the algorithm, and I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.